The Rose Queen. She stood beneath an ancient rose tree, its blossoms as large as lanterns. Her hair flowed like a golden river, and her eyes shimmered with a deep green, like leaves in the sunlight. She wore a gown made of woven petals, and around her head was a crown of thorns and blooming roses. Lillian gasped. "You're real!" The queen turned, her lips curling into a gentle smile. "You have come far, little one." Lillian's heart raced. "I wanted to meet you." The queen knelt so they were at eye level. "And why is that?" "Because I love the stories about you, and I love roses." The queen chuckled softly. "Then we have something in common." Lillian's eyes widened. "Do you really have magic?" The queen reached out a hand, and as she did, a nearby rose bloomed instantly, its petals unfurling in perfect harmony. "The garden and I are one. Its magic flows through me." Lillian clapped her hands in delight. "That's amazing." The queen studied her for a moment, then took Lillian's small hand in hers. "Come, little one, let me show you something." She led Lillian through the garden, past arching vines and bushes of golden roses. Eventually, they reached a small fountain, its waters shimmering like liquid silver. In the water's reflection, Lillian saw something strange, her own image, but older. She looked about 10 years old, standing in the same garden, her hands touching a rose that glowed. "What is this?" Lillian whispered. "A glimpse of what may come," the queen said softly. "The garden knows your heart. If you truly love it, it will welcome you always." Lillian looked up at the queen. "Does that mean I can come back?" The queen smiled. "Only if you promise to protect the flowers just as I do." Lillian nodded eagerly. "I promise." The queen plucked a single red rose from a nearby bush and placed it in Lillian's hands. "Then take this. It will remind you that magic exists in the smallest petals and the kindest hearts." Lillian hugged the rose close. She had found something special, something no one else in the village had ever seen. But as she turned to ask another question, the garden around her shimmered like mist in the morning sun. The air grew warm, the colors blurred, and before she knew it, she was back outside the golden vines, the village's rooftops visible in the distance. The garden had closed once more. Lillian looked down. The rose in her hands was as real as ever. She smiled, knowing that she had met the Rose Queen, and that someday she would return. And, deep within the enchanted garden, the queen watched, her heart full of quiet joy, for she knew that the little girl would one day grow into a guardian of roses herself.